Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my best of 2017. Let's just go ahead, grab your coffee, and let's get started. Starting off, let's do eyes. I have been loving for my primer, my MAC 24 Hour Eye Base. I have used other eye bases, the Too Faced Shadow Insurance, Urban Decay Primer Potion, Max Painterly Paint Pot, all of those, but none of them top the 24 Hour Eye Base. I have a picture on my Instagram. I took a picture as soon as I put my makeup on. I took a picture 13 hours later of my eyeshadow and it looked exactly the same. The only thing I had to touch up, I had to powder my nose a little bit. I have a couple of palettes to talk about. MAC Semi Sweet x9 palette. This is an all matte palette. It is all the reformulated matte shadows, and you can tell this one is completely gone. There's nothing there. I've hit quite a big hole on the pan in that one. This one I'll hit pan any day, and I use so many of these shadows. Carbon you can always get. Bamboo used to be in the full-size pan, but now this is the only place that you can find it. Otra at one point was also a full size. Dance in the Dark here is also in the x15 warm palette. I use this as an add-on to a lot of other palettes that are maybe a bit too shimmery or ones that I have a hard time getting a complete look from. I will pull in this palette and I have everything I need right here. I love Otra, this mustard shade. Let's see, what is this one? Everyone's Darling, this red I use all the time. Pink Sienna is a fantastic cool tone mauve transition shade. I adore this palette. I have my Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. You can tell I've hit pan on this one. This is an awesome transition shade for fair tone people. I've also used this as a contour. This is a fantastic lid shade. This one is the only one in the palette that has a little bit of sheen to it, and I use it all the time as an underbrow, and these are so pigmented. It's unbelievable. And she did a fantastic job with this black. Sometimes black is hard to do without making it too patchy, but this is an amazing palette. I was late on the bandwagon for that one, but I finally jumped on and no regrets. I have a couple of individual pieces, not palettes. First is the Stila Magnificent Metal Shadow. This one is my most used. This is the shade Smoky Storm. A taupe color with white, gold, and silver reflex. This is fantastic. I've worn it on its own as a lid shade. I've worn it as a base for other lid shades. I've worn it as an eyeliner, like to give a little emphasis underneath my wing. It's beautiful. Also, I have MAC's She Sparkles Dazzle Shadow. This is one of those shadows that you can use wet or dry, and it is a cool tone taupe color. Pink and gold reflex. Use this as a lid shade so many times. These actually pair really nicely together too. Let's talk about eyeliners. So I have a couple of favorites. Both of these are from MAC. They're both a black liner. This is MAC's brushstroke liner that came out, I think, in the spring. What's cool about this is it is a brush tip, not a felt tip. So when you lay it on top of shadows, the tip doesn't get clogged out. You know, sometimes you feel like a pen liner will kind of dry out faster than what it should. A lot of times it's because it's clogged. But you can get the finest line from this tip. You can also get a pretty thick line. The one thing I will say is you have to be careful putting the lid back on, because if you knock this against the side, you can push the hairs down because of that brush tip and kind of fray it out, and then it's just a hot mess. So when I'm not using my brushstroke liner, MAC's Liquid Lash Liner is an old fave. Oh my goodness, if you need a waterproof liner, this is it. Look no further. This is the best waterproof liner I have ever used in my life. It takes effort to remove when I want it gone. I have those allergy watery eyes a lot, and this stuff does not budge. My one complaint is the packaging, because this brush is so short. It's sometimes hard to work with. It is a brush tip, not a felt tip. A longer liner brush is what I'll use typically with it and kind of dip the product in. That way it's a little easier to control. And I have another MAC favorite. This for mascara has hands down been not just 2017, but the past couple of years. This is my favorite mascara. This is MAC's Upward Lash. It is a black water resistant mascara. That tip is so fine, so tiny. You do have to work this. You have to roll it back and wiggle it through and comb it through and make sure it doesn't clump. But if you're willing to work with the mascara, I get the most beautiful lashes from this. I'm asked all the time if I'm wearing false lashes, and a lot of times I am, but other times it is just this mascara. It's fantastic. Volume, curl, lift, length, all the above. MAC's Upward Lash. Last in eyes, I want to talk about my favorite false lash combination. I'm allergic to latex, so I've had a lot of issues finding the perfect lash adhesive until I tried the Kiss Strip Lash Adhesive with biotin and blueberry. It is latex free. Some latex free adhesives kind of lay in the lash line and almost like cement themselves. I don't have that struggle with this one. It holds nicely. I don't have issues with my lashes lifting, but it also doesn't irritate my eyes and make them all red and nasty and gross. And my favorite false lashes have been the Kiss Faux Mink lashes. I own 3 pairs in different styles, but this is my favorite. This is the style Pitch. And these are just a feathery, there's not much flare to them. They give kind of the same length all the way across. They're not too heavy. The band's not too thick. They're comfortable to wear. I love the Faux Mink lashes. If you can get your hands on them, pick a pair up. They're amazing. Let's move on to the face category. So some foundations, concealers, powders, all that jazz. I have 3 foundations to talk about. First is my Makeup Forever HD. I'll be honest, when I first tried this foundation, I hated it. I could mix it with other foundations and make it work, but I did not like it. By about the middle of the year though, I had found my love for this. It is I would call it a medium coverage. It photographs beautifully. It blends out easily. It's not cakey. I love the Makeup Forever HD. And in case you're wondering, I'm in the shade R330. This is my favorite foundation combination of the moment. This is the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet. This is shade 25. I still do not love this on its own, but anytime I need to mix a foundation, anytime I need to shade adjust to make the foundation lighter, I'll use this. If I need a little more coverage from a foundation, I'll use this. I really did like it after I stopped trying to use it by itself. Last, I have my Maybelline Fit Me foundation. This is my favorite drugstore foundation, hands down. This is the Matte Poreless in shade 125. I prefer the original version, but the Matte Poreless works fine too. I do mix this. I wear it by itself. The Maybelline Fit Me is just an awesome foundation, hands down. Not just for a drugstore foundation it's awesome, but just period. It's a really awesome foundation. Okay, let's talk concealers. First is my NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer. This is probably top of the list. I love the coverage that I got from this, but it is a creamier formula. It's not so heavy that it's settled. It's not so matte that it made me look dry. I like to tap this on. This is a doe foot applicator. Tap it on, let it sit for about 10 seconds. That way those moisturizers have time to absorb, and then blend it out. You get so much better coverage that way. Make your products work for you. Don't work them too hard. Next, I have Tarte Shape Tape. Pretty sure this is going to be on about every YouTuber's favorites from here on out. It's amazing. This is in the shade Fair Beige. It worked for me most of the year as an under eye highlight. This is much heavier than the NARS concealer, but it's not so heavy that it's settled. Sometimes I do look a little dry under eye when I wear this, but nothing to fix. A little Fix Plus can't help. The last concealer I have is MAC Studio Finish Concealer. This is in the shade W10. This I specifically use to carve out my brow, highlight my brow, highlight maybe the bridge of my nose if I didn't want a shimmery highlight, if I wanted something more matte. It's really awesome for that. What I will say is this is a heavy concealer. This is probably the fullest coverage concealer that I own. and it takes just the smallest amount. If you are using this to spot conceal, get some on your finger, rub it together. That way it warms it up a little bit and makes it a little creamier and a little easier to blend out. I had a really hard time narrowing everything down to one product per category, so I didn't. I also have 3 powders to talk about. First, I have my Coty Airspun powder. I bought 3 different shades in this. The one I ended up loving was the shade Naturally Neutral. This is just an amazing matte setting powder. This shade does give a little bit of coverage, but nothing too heavy. Sometimes I'll bake with this. Lately, I've noticed that when I do bake with it, that I get kind of matte and crunchy under my eyes, and I don't necessarily love it. But as far as an all over setting powder, or to like bake the bridge of my nose or my chin, a little on my forehead, it works so well. Next, I have MAC's Studio Fix Perfecting Powder, and I love this. It gives a sheer to medium coverage on top of whatever liquid that I'm using it with. It is matte, but it's not so matte that it makes me dry and crunchy. But what's cool about this is it has a screen in here versus like those holes that the powder sifts out, so you can't pick up too much product. It kind of gets annoying toward the end because you can see product in there, but it's hard to get out. And last, this is probably, if I had to choose one standout powder for the year, it would be MAC's Next to Nothing powder. It is a blurring powder. This is not a matte finish. It does blur the under eye beautifully. I used this as an all over. It was okay, but I really found my love for this when it came to setting the under eye, because it just blurred that area and made it look seamless and smooth and filtered and just amazing. I also love this powder for setting my primer because it is so silky and smooth. Shadows blend on top of it beautifully. Let's talk about some blushes, bronzers, contours, highlights. So one of my favorite blushes this year has been MAC's Blush Baby, obviously. It looks very cool toned, like it may be very pinky in the pan, but I've used this so much, and that's what we'll find in common with all 3 blushes that I'm talking about, is they are all very neutral in that no matter what lip I pair them with, they don't clash. They just blend beautifully and give a nice flush cheek, but nothing too harsh. I use Blush Baby on so many of my clients. It's fantastic. The other 2 blushes I'll talk about are by Tarte. They are the Amazonian Clay blushes. This is in the shade Buff. I used this in my very first YouTube video. Sad day, it is discontinued. You cannot get this anymore, but if you have it sitting in your collection and haven't played with it in a while, pull this out. It does have some silver reflex in it, but it's not something that when I put on my face, it looks like a highlight or I look like a disco ball with like chunky glitter. It is phenomenal. The closest blush that Tarte has now is Exposed. It is matte. There are no reflex in this blush. As far as that neutral, just pretty flush to cheek, Exposed is the closest that I have found to Buff. It does lean a little more pink. So that's really like 2.5, not 3, right? Because I gave you 2 and then like 1 to sub for the discontinued one. We can justify it. It's okay. My favorite bronzer of the year is MAC's Mineralized Skin Finish. This is in the shade Dark Golden, and this is technically a setting powder. However, it's obviously deeper than my face, and you can do that for a bronzer. You don't necessarily have to go to a bronzer because a lot of those will end up looking a little orangey, a little too warm. But Dark Golden is just a really nice, it warms up the skin really nicely without being too orange. And the Mineralized Skin Finishes lay really pretty on the skin too. They're not super matte or glowy. They just give the appearance of fresh, healthy skin. I only have 1 contour to talk about. What? I know, right? This is MAC's Sculpting Powder in the shade Shadester. It is just a really nice contour powder and the one that I reached for most this year. This has been the year of the highlight for me. Limited edition one out of the way first, and I'm sorry, but if I'm being honest, I used this probably as my other ones. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Nicole Guerrero palette, and I've loved the whole palette, but two in here specifically really stood out, and that is the shade Forever Lit. It is a white with a pink purple shift to it. It is phenomenal. I have it on top of another highlight today, just in the highest point of my cheeks and nose. Okay, the other shade I've loved in this palette has been the shade Forever Young, and this one was so unique to me. It had like a taupey silver mauve shift to it, and it is so pretty. So I will give you some alternatives since this was limited edition. The closest that I found is MAC's Extra Dimension Highlight in the shade Soft Frost. It's white with that pinky purple shift to it. And also from MAC, a dupe for this one would be the Extra Dimension Highlight in the shade Superb. It is so similar, maybe a little less foiled, but just as beautiful. Earlier this year, I finally got my hands on the viral highlight Champagne Pop by Becca. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I think you'd have to be living under a rock not to know Jaclyn Hill's Champagne Pop highlight. And Queen Jaclyn also made me buy the next highlight, which is Makeup Forever Starlit Powder in shade 13. That is the other highlight I have on today. This blew me away when I finally got my hands on it. I had to wait about a month before I caught it in stock. But this is the most perfect champagne slash white gold slash silvery slash everything beautiful highlight I've ever seen in my life. I've worn it on my face. I've worn it on my lid as an inner corner under my brow just to amp it up a little bit. I have that there today. I have a backup and I'm pretty sure I'll be needing it soon. Let's move on to lips. I have a few lip pencils to talk about. First, I have MAC's Oh Honey Pro Longwear Lip Pencil. This is what I have on today. I filled all the way in with it. I pair it with so many things, or by itself, or that and a lip gloss, and it just goes so beautifully. Let's swatch it. I'm quite talking about it. The people want to see. It's just such a nice neutral color. I have a lot of problems with nude lip pencils turning very... Next, this is the L'Oreal Color Riche Matte in the shade 112 Mastermind. I was sent this to test out from Influencer. They sent me a box of, I think, 3 of these pencils and 3 of the lipsticks to try out too. And this was such a standout product from that. It does lean very, very close to Oh Honey, but just a little deeper and a little more pink. This is the NYX Suede Matte Lip Liner in the shade 21 Brooklyn Thorn. This is a cool toned, like grayish, mauve-y. Oh my gosh, this is phenomenal. I wore this a lot with like a super cool tone gray lip, or if I wanted to wear a super pale washed out lip but then kind of give it that cool tone to it. Like, this made the most beautiful ombre lip with that. Oh my god, I use it so much. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Liquid Lipstick in the shade Milkshake. This is what I have on top of Oh Honey liner. I cannot express to you my love for this. It is so nude. It does have a pink tone to it versus like peachy. Again, I have issues with things turning on me, but this stays just that most gorgeous washed out pinky nude shade. Next, I have Buxom's White Russian Full On Lip Cream. I was so late to the train on this. This is the first tube that I've had. I'm almost finished with it. This is in the special packaging with the little diamond on top because I'm extra like that. It does have a slight plumping feel to it, but nothing that's like that tingly, nasty, make me want to rip it off my face kind of feel. I cannot tell you before this the last time I actually finished a lip gloss, but Too Faced, you did it for me. You came through. This is the Sweet Peach Creamy Peach Oil Lip Gloss in the shade Peach Fuzz. Again, very nude. I'm so predictable. It's alright. Very nude. This one does lean a little more of that peachy coral, but not so much that it looked orange. It smells, oh my gosh, It's so sweet and peachy, and I know that's like so generic and basic to say because hello, it's the sweet peach lip gloss. But that's exactly how it smells. And there's that. I don't even know if you can see it for the camera. I am down to my honorable mentions category. Yay! Okay, so first let's talk Morphe Jaclyn Hill. I love this palette. I've done a couple of looks on my channel with it. I did get this second go around, so it was a little later in the year. That's why I didn't want to mention this one above the palettes that I'd had for most of the year. Dude, Jaclyn Hill, you make me spend a lot of money. But this is awesome. These shades are so pigmented. It's insane. I'm not going to talk about that because there are at least 1,000,001 videos on YouTube about this palette with tutorials. You can go watch some of my other ones. It's amazing. This is the Lancome Visionnaire Beauty Sleep Perfector. This is a gel to oil consistency. This is a deluxe travel size, but I went through several of these this year, especially if my skin was feeling super dry. I would put this on at night and it's the most nourishing. Oh, it's amazing. And I love the smell. However, Lancome skincare tends to be pretty heavily scented. That's not something that a lot of people can stand, I guess. So keep that in mind, but try it out. I am such a fan of Lancome skincare. I've used it since I was 15 and I swear it's the reason I don't look 30. Next I have a thermal spray. This is the TRESemmé Expert Keratin Smooth 5 Benefits 1 System Heat Protect Spray. It's got keratin in it. It's good. Next I have, this is the Rue Fancy Fool number 42 Silver Lining Temporary Hair Color. I went silver this summer, fried most of my hair off, and then I decided just to start doing the washed out stuff. So sticking with hair, this is the Oro Fluido Serum. It smells like amber and vanilla. I love it. I've been through 3 or 4 bottles of this. It's one of the few things that I got from Birchbox that I've loved so much that I've purchased the full size. This is my Bedhead Wave Artist. I get an unbelievable amount of compliments on my hair every single time I use this, and it's so good. It just, I will say that if you have this, make sure that it's open like this when you turn it on and let it heat up, because mine got stuck together, and so now I have to press it down and then like make this effort to pull it apart or it gets stuck on my hair. Too Faced Hangover Primer. It's not too heavy. It's awesome for dehydrated skin. It smells like coconut. This is also a pretty awesome product that I discovered this year. This is the Beauty Blender Liner Designer Pro. It looks like a guitar pick, and it's awesome for creating a wing and giving you this nice guide. I will find a point on here, like I will angle the end of it up and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to the end of this first loop. And then over here, okay, point up, I'm going to the end of the first loop. That way it kind of helps me keep my wings not only like angled enough, but also like kind of the same length. I have a couple of brushes to talk about. This is a MAC 187 brush, and I'll be honest, this sat in my collection for years before I consistently started pulling it out and using it. And what I found my love for with this brush is blending out the cheek area once I have my bronzer, contour, blush, and highlight on, because let's be honest, that is a lot of stuff to put on your face. Like, that's a lot of powder, and sometimes it can look a little cakey, a little too much. This is a duo fiber brush, and when you hold it back here, super important, but when you use it to blend out that area after you have everything else on, it gives like a seamless airbrush look to the whatever you use it for. Foundation powder, I don't care. It's good. It's good. You can use this with the setting powder and it's going to give you a little fuller coverage. The last brush I have is this crown brush. It is also a duo fiber brush. It is a little domed. What I have loved this for is highlighting. This is pretty much the only brush that I've used to highlight this year. It's so good. It doesn't pick up too much product. I wish there were a name or number somewhere on this brush, but I got it in an Ipsy and I got nothing. These shaped brushes are also amazing for foundation, because the shape of them allows them to fit really nicely under the eye. If you prefer a brush to a beauty blender, try to get something kind of shaped like this. So last I have the Kiss Artificial Nails. Not these specifically. These are what I have on right now. The glittery, almond shaped. Oh my gosh, they're beautiful. But I have been through so many of the Kiss Artificial Nails. I can get these to last at least 2 weeks. My favorite YouTuber of the year is Mrs. Lola Lynn. She has actually been my favorite YouTuber for a while, not just this past year. She is so good. She does the most honest reviews. She does some awesome tutorials, and she is so down to earth and just fun to watch. I will link her channel down below. She's also a very responsive YouTuber, because you know sometimes when you write somebody, they don't write back or it gets overlooked or whatever. I have talked to her on Snapchat and Twitter, and kind of a little, anytime I needed like some YouTube advice or had a question about one of her videos, she was so quick and just to answer, and just so sweet, and I really, really, really enjoy her videos, and just her as a person in general. She's so super sweet. My favorite app of the year has been the Dunkin' Donuts app. Aww. No fat kid jokes. They're not funny. I'm addicted to their iced coffee. I'm convinced that they put crack in there. And I get to earn free coffees and discounted coffees and amazing things. Alright, so I think that's it. Guys, I'm so sad that 2017 is coming to an end, but I am really, really excited to see what 2018 has in store for me. I think it was Charles Dickens that wrote, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times." And I can think of nothing better to describe 2017. There was some really bad stuff that happened. I went to some really dark places. I lost some people that meant the world to me. But I also gained some people that have just made my life so complete since they walked into it. I started my YouTube channel, which has been a goal for years. And I made peace with a lot of things that had been breaking me for a long time. So I'm just so excited to see what this next year holds, and how my channel's going to grow, and how I'm going to change, and just all the awesome things that are going to happen. I am optimistic and ready to just leap into the new year. Stop rambling. Okay, I hope you guys have the most amazing into 2017, beginning to 2018. Happy New Year, happy holidays, and don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. Hit the bell icon if you want to be notified every time I post a video. Let me know what a couple of your favorite products from 2017 were. Are they the same as mine? Have you tried any of these? Do you love them, hate them? Let's have a conversation about it in the comments. Thank you for watching. You guys, I lost an eyelash. Like, just sitting here. I dropped it when I was putting it on, and I have no idea where it went. It's not Dunkin', but it'll do. It's not a bug, I swear, it's just an itch. I don't even know where I'm going with this. Oh my god, you can see my brushes. Ugh, that's irritating. That's gonna bother me all through editing, but there's no way in hell that I'm going back and refilming that. Bae, it's cold outside. I love it. It's so cute.